What's up, guys? It's your girl Matt Cox from Maccouture Crafting. This video is probably going to be long. I don't know. We'll see what happens. There is a lot that I should say, and I'm probably going to miss stuff because I'm not as prepared as I want to be because I need to get my content out. It's been too long since I've posted. You guys are probably like, what happened to you? You were doing so good, and then you just fall off the face of the earth. Well, I've had surgeries. I'm trying to get my content. I'm trying to get this business polished and so that it looks good when we go into the new year. So just bear with me. I have tons of ideas, tons of really cool content coming. I mean, just really interesting quilting, crafting content. It's coming. So hang with me. This video is going to be interesting. I decided that I was going to go to my guild's quilt retreat. So let me tell you, I joined the guild back when I first started. It's kind of how I got started. I bought a sewing machine and then I was like, well, where do you get fabric? So I Googled a store. I went to the store. This is like day one of having a sewing machine. I go to the store and I meet these people who were lovely. One of them who is still with me today. And I'm like, hey, I want to learn. And they were like, well, try this project. And so we tried that beanbag, and I have that recorded. Like, my whole journey has been cataloged. And then I stopped for a while. That day, they were like, hey, why don't you come to a guild meeting? And I was like, what's a guild? And it's like a quilting bee, like a quilting circle, but like a modern way of saying that, which is a bunch of people with like interests who get together talking about the same topic. I went, and it was cool, but I definitely felt like the odd man out. And it's funny because everybody kind of has the same story when they're starting out. Almost no matter what guild you go to, you are the odd man out. You don't know anybody, and it's strange making friends as an adult. It's weird. A lot of it happens over social media, which is even more weird. But I felt awkward at the first meeting, but I noticed that a lot of people knew each other and had all these stories and stuff from going to retreats. So I signed up for a retreat that year, and I just chickened out. I just didn't feel like I fit, like I belong. I'm like, I don't know if these are my people. So I didn't go, and I chickened out. And then this year, I had met somebody over the internet who was like, hey, who's also in the guild. She was like, hey, I want you to come to the retreat. Now, I don't like to sew in front of people. I don't like to pack my stuff. That's, those are two things that I don't like to do. And I said, well, okay, because I'm looking for a quilty friend, and I guess I'd made one because she actually was like, hey, I want you to come. And I knew another person. And the way that I had met them was they have these sewing groups on the weekends that you do via Zoom. So everybody's doing their own projects and just kind of talking while they're at home doing their things. And that's how I had met these other two women. And we had been talking through those, which was cool. So I was like, okay, I made the arrangements. And then when it came up, I didn't want to go anymore because there was Disney stuff I wanted to do. I had a friend coming in from out of town. I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to pull out. And it was like expensive. I didn't realize that I had put down a deposit. I shouldn't say it's super expensive. That's all relative. But it was just like, hey, you owe the balance. And I think the total of the trip, I want to say it was like I think it cost me like 800, somewhere around in there. And they were like, hey, you owe the balance. And I was like, oh, I forgot that I had put down the deposit and all that kind of stuff. It was also required that you are vaccinated, which is not a problem, but that was a requirement of being able to go, and probably will be going forward because of the current situation. So they were like, send in your vaccination status, send in this deposit. Then in November, they were like, hey, it's time, we need your balance. And I was like, oh, shoot, what did I sign up for? Totally had forgotten it. And I wanted to back out because I wanted to play Disney, because this happens during the time of Dapper Day, and I like Dapper Day, but I am so glad, guys. All that to say, super excited that I went to my first quilt retreat. Was it worth it? First question, was it worth it? Absolutely. If you are looking to make friends, if you want to be around people, if you don't mind packing your stuff, sewing in front of people, and you're trying to make friends, this is a great place to do it. If you're trying to learn things, I don't know how everybody sets up their retreats, but this retreat was like genius in my opinion. The way that it was set up, the way that it flowed, the people who went, I had the time of my life. I am so shocked at how much fun I had. Now, there are some things that we need to know. about going to retreat. I am a very productive sewer. I produce. You guys, when I look back at how many quilts I can produce in a year compared to how many some other people produce, I produce a lot. I'm a producer. I'm used to it, and everybody is used to me doing that. Hold that thought. I have to take a call. I'm coming right back. Okay, sorry about that. This again is going to be a long one because I have so many things to tell you about going to my first quilt retreat. At least I think it's going to be long. So again, I produce stuff and I had to really manage my expectations while at quilt retreat. So let me tell you where it was. It was in Temecula at a convent. And that probably sounds strange, but that's where they have it. And it is exactly what it said. It's a retreat. When you go out there, it's quiet. It feels very, very safe. And there was another quilting group that was there, which was much smaller than ours, that was quilting in the other classroom. It's got like 2 rooms, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. But and they're on other sides, and they were there and we were there when I got there. So remember, this is my very first quilt retreat, and I did not have a good list. And so I probably need to make one of those for us, or we probably need to send one out, because this was a lot of our very first times going to a quilt retreat, and we all had an excellent experience. So that's how I know across the board everybody was super pleased. But let me tell you how it goes. So it's up in Temecula. We were staying at a convent, and dinner, breakfast, lunch are all provided for you. Very, very specifically, they're early, like 8, 12, or 12:30, and 5. Like, this is what time you eat. Don't play, because that's what time you eat. I haven't had 3 meals in such a timely manner, I think, and probably since I was a kid. But anyway, that's that. And then you stay in these like dormitories. Now, this is not a hotel. This is a convent. And the beds might be a little on the small side. Like if I'm laying on my back, half of my butt is off of the bed. So I learned to lay on my side very still. You know, it's just it's not luxurious, but it's a room. But you don't spend a ton of time in your room unless you're taking a nap, which you're totally free to do. I mean, people were coming and going and napping when they wanted to. You can sew 24 hours if you like. The room stayed open. They had some rules about how to close up when, you know, when the last person went left, and how to open it back up if you were coming down. You're the first person there. You could sew from sun up to sundown. People would take naps and come back and come in and go eat, and you can leave the property. There are some quilt stores in the area. There's Needle and Fabric Stash. There's Between the Stitches. There is Temecula Quilt Co. I don't know if they're closed yet, but they're there too. And then Primitive Gatherings. I didn't get to Primitive Gatherings, and so I'm probably going to have to shoot up there just so that I can see what that store looks like, because some people came out of that store with some really nice um, fabric. And when we were up there, and like projects and stuff to do, when we were up there, they were giving discounts for us coming to shop at the store, giving like fat quarters, 25% off your most expensive item, or 25% off your whole purchase. Different stores had different discounts and things, but they did offer them. So shout out to all the stores. Now, that's kind of the logistics of it. When I got out the car, I was embarrassed because I had packed so much stuff. I'll show you guys a picture here of what all I packed. I was embarrassed. I just thought I had overpacked, and I'm an overpacker by nature, but I don't like to overpack. I like to have, it's just too much stuff. I don't want to be unloading a bunch of stuff. Luckily, I brought my cart. Let me rephrase that. Luckily, I bought my husband's fishing cart. When he was packing up the truck for me, he was like, take this. And I was like, no. He was like, no, I won't be there. Take this. I am so glad that I brought that cart. It's one of the ones from Amazon with the big tires, and you throw the stuff in there and you just wheel that little sucker wherever you need to go. You guys, I cannot tell you how pleased I am that I brought that. That made all the difference in me toting stuff into the room and then back out of the room. Let's see. I bought 2 sewing machines. Insane. Sewing machine video update coming very soon. Should I tell you guys? Well, we'll figure it out when we get there. But I needed my straight stitch because it's a straight stitch and it's my workhorse and it goes. When I tell it to go, it goes. And that is my absolute favorite machine ever. I needed my other starter machine because it does all my decorative stitches, and the projects that I bought required me to use both. I hate that I did that, but I didn't feel bad because I was absolutely not the only person who brought multiple machines. There are people in there with sergers, featherweights, their computer machines. So I once I saw that, I felt much better because I was like, now why would you bring two machines? Like, this is insane. I brought a little side table, which was cute, you know, like a TV tray so that I can iron on it and whatnot. And I'm glad that I did that too. The little table was nice. Um, and then I just bought too many projects. In my mind, I was going to be the same sewer at the retreat that I am at home. And honestly, I did more socializing than I did sewing, and that's because, one, I'm a social butterfly. Like, I want to talk to the people. I want to talk to all the people about all the things and all the projects. Two, one of my projects went awry, and I just was not motivated, and I got annoyed, and I just wasn't working on anything. I was just walking around talking to people and looking at what they were doing. So I had to get into my mind that I wasn't going to be producing the way that I thought I was. I brought too many projects and my projects weren't well thought out. I suggest that you prep for retreat, as in cut everything before you get there, unless you just want to cut when you're there. But if you want to be productive, I think one of the best ways to do that is have your cutting done so that you're doing mostly sewing when you're there. You're sitting, you're sewing, you're standing and sewing and talking and enjoying. But having to cut out stuff wasn't the best use of my time at all. Luckily, somebody saw that I was not being productive. And it's funny because she's a teacher. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you doing what you're supposed to be doing? I love Dr. Collins. Yes, Dr. Collins is my savior in this sense because she was like, let me see what you're working on. She took my project, she grabbed some rulers, and she was about trying to figure it out. She understood how I had run into this issue. I needed to do some fussy cutting. I was fussy cutting some monkeys from Tula Pink's monkey wrench. You have 6 1/8. You have no wiggle room, and it was weird trying to cut it, and I was trying to cut them individually, and I messed up a bunch of fabric, which is not like me, but I did. Isn't it funny when I mess up fabric, I mess it up at retreat in front of everybody? Whatever. And she was about trying to figure it out, and luckily, my boy Phil was there, who I'm obsessed with, who is an engineer, came over and engineered it up for me. And the two of them came together and helped me. Do you guys know how special that was for me? Being at retreat, feeling alone. I wasn't feeling alone at that time, but you just don't know anybody. But to see that people will stop doing what they're doing to come look at what you're doing to help you, there's just something magical about that. Retreat was kind of magical. Our seats were assigned, and I liked the way that they did it because they kind of put people who knew each other together, but people who you didn't know too were kind of sitting next to you. So you had somebody to talk to and you had somebody to get to know. They sat me next to a master artist, which was amazing because she was so generous. So she even gave me a block. Like, she was making a block, and it's the baddest block ever. It's so gorgeous. And I was like, I want that. She gave me her block. I can't believe it. I got to do something awesome with it. Um, she was just so generous, so giving, so helpful, tips galore. She was giving me stuff. She just making friends and just being helpful. You know, you see somebody who's young in their quilt journey and you're helping them out, and it wasn't overbearing or anything like that. It was perfect. And I made another friend. So that's kind of what retreat was like. We had a smaller group, which is, which is fine. I actually prefer it, kind of. Although if we had another 20 people that were exactly like the ones that we had, I think that would be nice too. But going forward for this particular retreat next year, they've already said they're only doing, I think 23 people. So you guys better get in and get in quick because you might not have any slots, and I'm concerned about that. I really wish it was double the size. We could have both rooms so that people weren't getting turned away. But I really have the feeling that people are going to get turned away this year because we were all so pleased with what had happened, with how everything went. So, small group, everybody's helpful. the games that we played. One that was really fun was a bingo game. So as you heard these words and these conversations, you would just cross it off. And that's a great game because you don't have to worry about stopping. You're just kind of, it's just happening as things are going. And I think they did a great mix of games to play that require you to stop and focus on the game, and games that are just kind of happening as you are doing, as you're there, as you're sewing, as you're doing your thing. It's kind of like a leisurely game. There were stations for cutting that were already provided by the facility. They had cutting mats there. They actually had cutters, but you probably want to have your own cutter. We brought design walls, but they also had some design walls up. Um, we brought snacks that were communal, and then you could bring your own personal snacks too. You could eat all night. You could drink all night. Yes, you can drink liquor at this particular facility. I mean, even though you're on, convent property. Just a really good time, guys. Such a good time. I learned a lot. I socialized a lot. I learned to, curve my expectations. My husband was like, look, maybe this was just for you to go and socialize and foster some friendships. And I think he was right. It wasn't all about what you can complete. And it's fun, though, because when you do complete something, you get to ring the bell, and everybody gets to stop and ooh and ah, and that's fun, too. Again, I think the ladies who put this together did a great job. The prizes for winning the games were just so generous. So they reached out to several companies, some of the bigger companies. Fabric Worm, never even heard of Fabric Worm. Sewing Art Center. Of course, I was just there. If you follow me on Instagram, you'd laugh because they had to put me out because I didn't want to leave today. Sewing Art Center. By Annie. Oh my goodness. I won a very large gift by Annie. And you guys know I'm a by Annie girl, so that was exciting. I want to say Ruby Star. Yeah, Ruby Star sent some fabric. Figo, I think, sent some fabric. There are so many different brands. I'll try to list them in the description so that you guys can see who you might want to reach out to and ask if they have anything that they might want to donate. But they really were generous and beautiful gifts. We played a gift exchange, not a gift exchange, like a white elephant kind of gift where you play the game and you can take the stuff, and so much fun. So much fun. What else? I bought a lot of stuff. I packed too many projects. It just wasn't reasonable. We were there for 4 days and 3 nights, and in my mind, I was going to do 3 quilts because I'm insane. That just wasn't reasonable. That was just silly, but leave it to me. But some people need to have different projects to work on because they get bored. And so, maybe you want to do that. Maybe you want to have some hand sewing. Maybe you want to play games. Maybe you just want to sit next to somebody and just talk all that time. It just kind of depends. And it was very loose. Like you really could do whatever it is you wanted to do. Again, we left and went shopping at the fabric stores at some point, and I really enjoyed that too. Just looking at the different fabrics that the different stores have. Um, what else? The prizes, the games, they were fun. We talked about the amenities. There aren't any. Um, Food was good for me. I quite enjoyed the food. I feel really good about it. I suggest that if you are contemplating going to a retreat, I think you should go. I bet you'll have the same kind of experience that I had. I bet you'll make friends. I went by myself. I mean, I did know a few of the girls, but we hadn't like really kicked it. Like we hadn't really spent any time together. Well, one of them we did, but she just totally forgot. She knows who she is. Um, it was just a really good time. It was the kind of thing that I want to do annually, maybe even twice a year. It's great to just get away and just, I can sew all day anyway, but it's nice to do it in the company of people. It's nice to learn from people. It's nice to see new techniques. Should we talk about the jelly roll race? I went to win that. And I told my parents that if I lost the jelly roll race, it was going to be because somebody was more experienced at sewing, not because my lovely machine couldn't handle it. My machine kicks butt. A whole bunch of people were sewing on Jukies, like that Juki, that TL220 or whatever. It's nice. It is a nice machine. Mine is better. Mine is smoother. Mine is faster. Oh, it's faster. And I even think mine is stronger. You guys, I'm just saying, I know everybody wants to buy it. It's super popular. You see it in all the videos. Mine's better. She did kick my butt. But I want to say she kicked my butt because she's just smarter than I was. She just prepared much better. I would love to do it again. Heads up. I want to count the strips. I pretty much want to use the exact same jelly roll and prep the exact same way. And I say you have to sew into your bobbin till your bobbin runs out. And then we'd see which machine is really better. I wonder if she'd do that. I want a rematch. Turns out she won the gift that she wanted, and I got the gift that I really would have wanted. It was such a good buy any gift. She got a huge thing of fabric. You guys know how I feel about fabric, so I didn't win. I came in second place, and then everybody came much later after she and I. She was sewing on the Juki. I was sewing on the my Janome HD9, which again I love. But I know I was rolling because at one point in the beginning, she kind of looks over. She's like, "You sewing fast and smooth." Yeah, I was. But I didn't prep my strips. They were in like a ball of yarn. That was just stupid. That was just so nuts. I don't know why on earth. And I picked a jelly roll that wasn't cute. It wasn't a nice looking jelly roll. There are people who came out with very cute, very usable jelly roll races. I think it took me, even with the knot that I had, and not only did I do that, I sewed one of the seams together incorrectly, stopped, had a conversation about it, seam ripped it, and still came in second place. You guys, when I tell you my machine is, it's it. Like, it is the best machine ever. It absolutely is. Jelly roll race might have been my favorite part of the whole thing. That's what I was really looking forward to because I wanted to kick everybody's butt. I didn't, but I was looking forward to it. Again, that Juki, it's a nice machine, but it's not as nice as mine. And the lady who I bought that machine from has sold several of those machines because of my review. And I have an update about that machine, if I would buy it again, do I love it, all that kind of stuff. Hint, hint, I love my machine. The Jelly Roll Race is great. I think that every retreat should do it. I think that everybody should participate just to enjoy, just to have fun. And if you don't like what you come up with, maybe you could donate it. We have a place that we like to donate quilts to. And a lot of the ladies will be taking the quilt top that they made from that project and donating it to our charity. So again, guys, we had a good time. I suggest you try it. If you have any questions about it, ask me. You can always slide into my DMs on Instagram or Facebook or send me an email. All that information will be in the description bar. If you have the opportunity, again, I suggest you go. I had a great time, and I think you will too. Ooh, look. I wondered what would happen because I have my green screen up, and this is very green in person. This one I think is Maleficent. Love this. But again, guys, go, go, go. Find your local retreat or fly into LA. Come to one with me. We'll have a blast together. All right, guys, I will see you on the next video. Okay, bye-bye. So this was a piece that the artist that was sitting next to me, Lavielle, was working on that I was super inspired by. So much so that I did a pull of fabrics. It's the beginnings of a bohemian style quilt that I'm going to do because of one of the ladies in the guild who's encouraging me to step out of my comfort zone. Here's a finish. This is Karina's finish. It was beautiful. She'd been working on that for like 7 years, guys. Here's another finish. She quilted it, pieced it, bound it. She did the whole thing while there. Here is Lavielle's Jelly Roll Race. She was sitting next to me, so I got a good picture of that. It's pretty cool. Tess hanging out with another lady who did another jelly roll quilt. Here we are with our jelly rolls. Guess which one is mine? Yeah. Why? Why on earth did I choose that jelly roll? Here's one of the design walls, something that somebody was working on. That's Phil's project there. And now I'm going to take you around. Let's see what everybody's sewing on. Let's see what they're working on. This is Karina's station. She has that quilt next to it. Her jelly roll came out beautifully. Who is this? This is Tessa's stuff. She's got like a boho vibe. She's sewing on a Janome. Singer. I think this is Anne's. I think this is Anne's station. Nice and clean. She was the one who brought a serger. You can see the serger behind. This is the lady who finished her whole quilt while there. She pieced it, did everything. She keeps a very tidy station, and she's sewing on a foff. I love that she didn't bring a ton of stuff with her either. I want this table. It's important. The next time I go to a retreat, I want that. Here is our snacks table. Some people brought their own chairs to be comfortable. Another one of those tables that I didn't even know existed, but I will have one soon. Look at the little Steam Fest iron. That iron is one of the best irons to have, especially if you're on the go. Here's Greg's station. He also has that side table with the light, his iron, a beautiful block there that he finished. Um, I don't know whose station. This is a Janome. This might have been, I don't know whose station that was. I forget. I think this is Betty's station here. Look at that. There's a Juki. I'm telling you, there were quite a few Jukis in the room. Here are the ironing boards. We had that table in the back for people to bring items that they no longer wanted, that somebody else might have wanted. Of course, that's my station with Jack Skellington. And that big cart that I was telling you guys about. There are some design walls where people are working on projects. Somebody sewing on a Husqvarna. I think that's a Viking there. Here's another little Juki. There's a featherweight hanging out back there. Let's see. Another Juki. There's another Juki over there. That's Phil's station. You can see his little pin cushion. And he brought his Juki to open up for the very first time here at Retreat. And we've got Rhonda. She's got her, what kind of machine does she sew on? Oh, and a Novus. That's a brother. That's a brother machine with the computerized. This is Lisa, my fabric fairy. Look at those cute little, look at that skate bag. Oh my God, people went crazy for that bag. Next to her was Laureen. There's that H bag. She loved that bag so much, guys. You guys should have seen her get it. And that's it. I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye-bye.